Welcome to another round of salty takeaways and bitter ends after Atlanta United's 1-0 loss to New England Revolution at Mercedes-Benz Stadium on Saturday. It is John, it is Jarrett, it is Nick. Thanks to everyone who has sent in your comments after the match, and then a half hour after the match, Gabriel Heinze came to the microphones, and we'll get into what he said about Joseph Martinez being a part of team activities going forward. We'll get into that as well. But let's start with the match in and of itself. Opening statement, Jarrett Smith.
Oh, I need a drink.
Do you have one with you, sir?
Actually, I do.
Okay.
I still need one. It wasn't a 7-1 loss. That's always nice. If you want to find something to look at, they didn't lay down. Because that was what I was looking for in this game, was to see you could not have picked probably a worse Eastern Conference matchup coming off of all of this drama than to play the team leading the East, and they're pissed off because they got embarrassed in their own house last week. Like, you could not have drawn that up on paper to be a worse matchup when you got stuff boiling over. You got stuff brewing underneath the hood. I was very curious to see how the fight would be. Fight was there. The finishing remained not there. They didn't lay down and go down 7-1. That's great. I'm glad they fought. Got to score goals going forward. Because, right now, it's just it ain't working perfectly, and when everything's going wrong like this, everything gets magnified. Nick?
Yep. Positives to start with. Chol was fantastic. I love the fact he tries things. I love the fact that, he was getting offside calls. That means that he was, pushing the limits, trying to get work, trying to get shots on goal. I appreciate that. But I promise positives. I'm going to keep going with positives here for the moment. Franco, I thought, looked fantastic coming in. Some of the moves that he put on the New England attackers in the midfield were fantastic. You could see that you could start to see some shades as to why they made the money move that they made for him. As obvious, I think to everybody, Brooks Lennon put in more than a shift. His ability to distribute the ball is fantastic. Negative time, it's all becoming predictable. And the patterns are becoming predictable. The passing movements are becoming predictable. There were times that, yes, they put shots on goal, but it was from outside the 18. It looked like New England's keeper was rarely troubled. And if you are lacking singular talent in the attack, at some point when the goals aren't coming through normal play, it just becomes spray and pray. And I saw a lot of praying tonight, saw a lot of work tonight, but I think the volume has to pick up on that. And there were moments that it looked like they had opportunities to put the ball to Chol in the channel. That was missed for whatever reason. They decided not to go that way. It would have been more of a direct ball. There was a lot of horizontal passing when it looked like there were opportunities to be more vertical or provide more incisive passing. It was very frustrating to me, and I try to be as transparent as I can be, and I said that something stinks. And now, does that mean that the effort stunk? Absolutely not. I have no doubt. Look, the kids were working tonight. Everybody looked like they were getting ready to drop at the end of the game. Moreno looked like he had tears in his eyes because the frustration, and when you're doing nothing but either losing or drawing, it builds up. But something stinks. I don't know what it is. I have no inside information. I don't know if there's some sort of Catholics versus Protestants in the locker room. I don't know if somebody came in and said Pikachu's a substandard Pokemon. I don't know what it is. And I honestly don't care. Because Jason and Mike made a good point after the show. They said the club's going to be here long after Darren and Carlos and everyone else goes and finds different jobs in different places or retires. And, we move on from this terrestrial plane, whatever. The club's going to be here, God willing. But for right now, as stewards of the club, we have to sort whatever mess this is out. Whether it's some sort of schism in the locker room, whether or not, there was some disciplinary thing, whether the coach is giving training sessions that are extraordinarily difficult. I don't care what it is, sort it. And I think that Jason was correct with goals. Goals change things. Goals change perceptions. They change matches. Yes, they do. And if you don't have that singular point of attack in Joseph, and you don't have Barco, and you have pieces that are down. Jurgen Damm's been out, obviously being injured for a lengthy
since
period of time.
Foxborough, since the first time these two hooked up.
Right. So, look, I get it. We're down a lot. We're down personnel. We're down, emotionally right now. But, I mean, it's very frustrating. And it feels like there can be a little bit of this solved, not by playing boom ball, where the backs just boot the ball and everyone does like a 100-yard dash to try to get it. I don't believe in that. But I do believe that tactically there needs to be a little bit of unshackling of from the cycles and say, look, fellas, if you get a chance, maybe just go for it. Get into the 18 and just put the ball on frame. Don't care. Just get into the 18 and put the ball on frame. I saw a lot of outside the 18 trying to put it on frame. Fantastic. We're moving in the right direction. Now we need to start trying to work it a little more incisive, a little more verticality in that final third. And Joseph, I think, will help some with that. He certainly will help in hold-up play and distributing to get those little 1-2 passes that will put you into the 18. I think he does an exceptional job with that. But it doesn't change the fact that this team needs to start putting balls in the back of the net with immediate effect. And I know everybody's working to that. I'm not saying they're not working to that. But as somebody with a butt in seats watching this unfold, defensively, very strong. Obviously, there was a moment where New England caught us exposed, put the ball in the back of the net. We have to do better with that. It looked like that there was a missed assignment and there was a gap that was exposed, and New England took immediate advantage of it. But at the same time, we have to figure some things out. When Chol starts reading the game a little more, and that's just something that comes with experience. There's nothing else other than experience.
He's going to be a large problem.
He's going to be a monster. But I want him to keep doing what he's doing. I want him to keep putting himself into positions where that flag comes up, because eventually he's going to start figuring out the timing on that. And when he does, it's over. So I see positive things, but I would be remiss if I didn't call out the fact that tactically there is a problem in that final third. And Kubo Torres, I'm guessing he's doing like classic Zlatan Ibrahimovic things during the week, and his work rate, obviously unquestioned, that is a premium in the Heinz system. I love what the man's doing. I'm wondering what prevented Jackson Conway from at least getting the start. And then if you want to bring Kubo and that work rate on later on to run at tired legs, fantastic. I think you're not doing Kubo favors by starting him. I think if you start Jackson and let him attack and wear down that back line, and then you bring Kubo on and his work rate, he's going to have that little bit of extra separation when it comes to turning and shooting, when it comes to maybe making a 1-2 move that will allow him that split second more where we've seen things with him go sideways to maybe put the ball a little more on frame. And he did well tonight. I think he did better than he has in the past. But I just think you're not doing him any favors by starting him. But then, what do I know? I'm a guy with the button seats. Heinz has been doing this for a minute. But I like the idea that Heinz has said that Joseph's coming back. I'm hoping that everything's been solved on that front. So, now we just see how everything starts to fit back together. And I'm happy to be checked on any of this. If anybody wants to check me or push back on any of this, I'm happy to have that conversation. It's just the final third to me is very frustrating right now.
Jarrett, one guy that I wanted to talk to you about was a debut today, and Nick also, if you want to discuss. But I want to bring Amar Sejdic to the floor and his effort today. And Jarrett, let me start with you. Sejdic was not afraid to get engaged early on. Not afraid to introduce himself via the hard tackle to New England. And when you look at the ratings from our friends at SofaScore, Sejdic, top of the ladder at a 7.7. What do you think about the introduction of Amar Sejdic to Atlanta United?
I mean, Amar Sejdic came into this team where things were kind of disjointed, to be very polite about it. And did damn work, which is what he did and how he cemented himself in MLS in the first place with Montreal, which could probably use him because if y'all weren't paying attention, Montreal was playing a grain alcohol game with Cincinnati tonight that is surpassed only by the grain alcohol game that Nashville was playing with Chicago. Hani Mukhtar had a hat trick inside of the first 15 minutes, and Chicago had a red card. It was amazing. But, Amar Sejdic gets into the league on a hardship and makes himself stick. He comes into a rough situation, if we want to be very polite, and gets stuck in, makes some impressive passes, does everything I would have asked for him when your midfield is this thin and you're looking for people to be able to get the job done. I thought he did that. I was impressed with him. I want to see what he can do going forward. There's going to be quite a lot of questions, but if Amar Sejdic can be even just good, even just fine in that midfield, that would be great at the rate bodies have been dropping.
Then, Nick, let me go to the back with you. When you look at the ratings from SofaScore across the board, it was in the overall 7.06 to 7.05 for New England and Atlanta. You had Alan Franco at a 7.2, George Campbell at a 7.4, Anton Walkes with a 7.5. When you look at Anton Walkes continuing to carry the C, Alan Franco doing what I think a lot of folks were anticipating that he would be a part of when he was fully healthy, as integrating into a starting 11, and George Campbell continuing to impress. What do you think about the back?
Campbell looked really good. He's not. If you're really heated right now about how things are and you are ready to go scorched earth, one thing I would say is look at Chol, look at Campbell. I mean, Walkes is pretty young, if I remember correctly. There's youth all over this team that shows you a very bright future ahead. And I look, one thing with Walkes, and we've talked about this before, is that some people step up when they get handed leadership positions. They just become better. Like they calm down. They see the game differently because, that leadership, the weight of leadership, means something, and it just changes the way your brain thinks about things. And I have been thoroughly impressed with Anton Walkes and during his time with the captaincy. I wouldn't mind him, carrying it going forward, even when the rest of the guys get back. And that's no slight at any of them. I just think that with Walkes, you have a situation. Look, the players are not blind, deaf, and dumb. They are aware. They are on social media. They see what's being said. And when the final whistle blew and the crowd started booing, they could have just walked in the tunnel and left. And Walkes marshaled the guys, and started walking around the stadium and saluting the fans. That takes some brass ones to do that, right? And to know what's going on social media and to sit there and say, okay, we lost, it sucks, but let's walk around and give one to the fans. I salute him for that. And that's leadership, right? I mean, that's fantastic leadership on his end. I thought the way that he marshaled the back line, the way that he was sending people up, the way, you have moments where Campbell felt like he could go forward. He's only going forward because he feels comfortable enough with the guys that are behind him. There's no defender who's going to shoot forward thinking that there's a leaky boat behind him. And with Walks marshaling the line the way he did, Campbell felt secure enough to shoot forward. And Franco felt secure enough to be able to make some plays up in the midfield and the swing out wide. And that every time there's a rotation when somebody moves out, there's leadership back there taking place. And I thought Walks did a really great job with that. Franco, to me, I know people have been giving him grief. But, the guy's been hurt. Well, I don't know what the heck you want, but he looked every bit as to someone who's going to be a game changer on defense. And when you talk about a healthy Franco and a more confident Walks, and you're going to have Robinson coming back and Campbell available to work in, man, that's some problems on that back line. If you're a forward or attacking midfielder, you have some pretty big bodies out there. You're not going to be able to move easily, and you're not going to be able to trick. And so, Sage, the new guy, he came in. Look, to throw a kid like that in the fire right away,
and someone who looked instantly comfortable in the role.
Instantly comfortable. I really didn't see, did I see him drop into in between the center backs as much as Sosa? No. That may not have been what was asked of him this evening, but what I did see that was asked of him was, hey man, you receive the ball, you distribute the ball, and he did it under pressure. I didn't see too many times he put the ball into terrible areas. I saw times when he was under a lot of pressure because anytime you have a new person in the lineup, teams know we're pressing him because, we know there's going to be some nerves. We want him to cause turnovers in difficult areas. I didn't see that from him. I thought he did a phenomenal job. So again, the back line I thought did the job, and the way that this team plays, whether they're scoring goals or not, they're going to be in positions where they're going to be more to the front than they are to the back. And again, it appeared to me to be, at one point, to be a missed assignment, and New England took advantage of that. That happens in any game, but overall, I was very impressed with the back line.
Jarrett,
let me ask you a question.
Yeah,
Nick.
go ahead and go for it. Yep.
Because I'm wondering, I think John's going to get to this. I'm just going to go ahead and do it because we're talking about the damn goal anyway.
Yep.
How do we feel about the goal being waved off?
Terrible. Look, I've said it before. I don't know how that goal was waved off. I'm trying to make sure I don't sprinkle.
Well, okay. So here's the explanation, because, and this comes from Mike Conti's Twitter.
Okay.
He says, for what it's worth, he requested a pool reporter to ask VAR why the choke goal was offside even after a deflection by a defending player, and this was the response. So here's the response from VAR.
Okay.
Machop Chol was called offside because, 1, he was in an offside position at the moment the ball was last touched by a teammate, Sadic, and 2, the officials correctly ruled that the shot by Sadic deflected off the New England player. This makes Machop Chol offside by gaining an advantage by playing the ball after it deflected off an opponent. Please note that the broadcast had paused the replay using the incorrect moment, as the actual kick point comes a few frames later. So that is the response to Mike's question on the Chol goal. So there you go.
The defender played the ball. He chose to play the ball.
Yeah, it didn't look to me like the defender was just an accidental bystander.
Darren Eales is going to get on 92.9 this week, and we're going to find out that Pro basically was like, yeah, sorry, we messed up. which y'all want some black people on the Discord have been asking for Jarrett and Nick's Black Helicopter Hour.
Yep.
Let's do this right now. Nick, do you? I don't know how much you follow the Hawks. A couple of years ago, when Mike Budenholzer was coaching the team, he got into it with an official and made contact with an official, and I don't think he was suspended. Mm-hmm. And the officials' union was apoplectic about him not being suspended. And so there was a theory that went around for a while where the Hawks would not get close calls of, yeah, the refs are still mad. Y'all want some Black Helicopter stuff with nothing to back it up? I'll give you this. Convince me that pro is not like, you don't have guys letting some judgment calls slide one way or another because they're not happy about the president of the team going on, a couple thousand watts of flag stick and trashing pro. Correctly trashing pro, but trashing pro.
Hey, I'm willing to entertain that. I'm willing to also entertain the fact that I don't think that I think officials largely try to do the best job they can.
I think they do too. I'm not saying they're trying to throw the game.
Right. If I may, though,
you would know more about it than most in terms of officials thinking
yes. Syria has
the decision-making processes of officials within a league structure.
Syria broke this man.
Syria broke me a long time ago. There have been calls this season, not just with Atlanta, with a couple other teams that I've watched, where it looks like the officials are like, yeah, we're not going to give them anything. And this looked like one of those games where it was like, yeah, we're not going to give them anything. That offside call. Now, it was, okay, sure. The key here is the defender. I think the defender made a play on the ball. And the ball ended up in a position where Chol could put the ball in the back of the net and did. The officials in this game, and they have been consistently, you can't tell me there's not an agenda. You can't. Now, does that change the fact? No. Yes, it would have made the game 1-1.
Doesn't change Atlanta's offensive struggles at all.
No, but within the structure of this particular match, 90 seconds, no more than 60 seconds later, you have an equalizer, and the tenor of the game should have changed.
Correct. That I will give you. That I will say. Does it change the struggles that we have had over the past several weeks? No, it does not, but it would change the momentum in this game. Because then New England is not trying to slow things down to a crawl. That's fine. Atlanta, at some point, I don't know what happened. I don't know if it was the officials got mad because of, some of our players maybe hitting the deck a little bit easier than others. I don't know if it was successful overturning of cards. I don't know if the humidity was 87% and the sky was blue. But, to take a line from The Godfather, should it be a bolt of lightning? I'm going to start blaming some of the people in this room. And at some point, I'm going to have to start blaming some of these refs who are making these calls that make no sense to me. Like phantom red cards, not protecting creative players, which this league has a terrible problem with to even start with. And then a situation like this where it looks like a defender makes a play on the ball, misplays it, Chop puts the ball in the back of the net, and you call him offside. And then nope, VAR. That's checked upstairs.
What we don't know what the machinations were, but the call stood for offside.
Correct.
That's the phraseology we should use here. Whatever the machinations were that we don't know.
Correct. We don't know.
The end result was
Correct.
Offside stood.
Offside stood, which makes again no sense to me. So, and that's fine, whatever. But it. I've said before, I'll say again, pro is a menace to this league, and it is not beneficial to the long-term viability of the sport in this country. And we need better officiating, which starts at the grassroots level. We need parents to shut up on Saturdays at youth games when I watch grown-ass adults berate a 13-year-old because they made an offside call. You're part of the problem. We have to let officials make mistakes at the younger level to feel confident enough to make bigger calls on bigger stages. We need people scouting. We need these refs to help promote them up. We need better training for these officials. But pro, as an organization, has to do something because the calls from one game to the next make zero sense. And I've seen the shadiest officiating in the universe where you watch it and you're like, yeah, this game's rigged. And I'm not saying any MLS game is rigged at all, but I'm telling you that, guys, if you don't fix this, people are going to start saying dumb stuff like that. So you got to get on your game because it's just buffoonish to me. The lack of consistency and the lack of quality calls and the strength and the courage to overturn bad ones. Don't make us go to your bosses to overturn bad calls. I can't wait for that explanation later on where they come out and say, oh, yeah, this should have been a goal. Yeah, sorry about that. Atlanta. Sorry about that. Again, sorry.
All right. So let's, for the remainder of the show, some things post-match. Once again, in the post-match, Gabriel Heinze said that Josef Martinez will start training with the main group on Sunday. He wants to see Heinze wants to see Josef's fitness level. Heinze also has said that Josef, quote, Josef will be back and he will help us in this moment, end quote. And to the point that the two of you have made during the show so far, Alec Can said that on Josef returning to training, quote, it can hurt. We need people who can create chances and score goals. Josef has shown he can do just that. We're ready to have him back and have his fire, end quote. So those are some of the key quotes from post-match. But folks who have chimed in here and wanted us to address their thoughts. Cuppers Nick wanted to know if you could be saltier than your Monday promo was long.
Was my Monday promo long? Post Italy win?
It was its own opus. It was tremendous. But that's the beauty of a promo. If you can cut a promo and keep its momentum and continue to make your point and not lose viewers and you lose listeners, you're still cutting a quality promo.
All right. I was too excited. I think that probably wasn't my best promo, but I think it was all right. It was okay. Now, the saltiness. I hope then, Cuppers, that my opening here was salty enough for your taste. Because the final third mess has got me quite salty. I'm not going to lie about that one.
Jarrett ropes is in, and he says he's not a front office hater, but he's really wanting to see some additions to the squad to make improvements to injured players. This is feeling like 2020 with few or zero DPs and support players doing the bulk of the lifting.
I will be very curious to see what they are able to add because, again, Major League Soccer is a salary cap league. You can manipulate things. Yeah, people you pay a lot of money to do that. They'll have to do it because, they're going to want to make additions. Now, whether that is somebody on the wing, whether that's somebody in the middle, if you want somebody else to play in that midfield, if you think that, and I think I have voiced myself on this bandwagon of, hey, if the Olympics go well, and by the way, holy God, they're making the Olympians sleep on cardboard beds. Like the bed frames are made out of cardboard to stop the shenanigans because the Olympics basically turn into a Roman bathhouse for a couple weeks. It's pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. Y'all are trying to undermine these world-class athletes. Good luck. They're going to figure out a way. They'll be fine. But I'm already of the opinion that hey, if the right offer comes in for Barco, I'd shake his hand and I'll help him pack. I will take him to the airport and I will buy him some of the airport Popeyes so he does not get hungry on the flight to Europe.
That's right. That's right.
Not a matter of disrespect to Barco from my perspective. Just his contract's got to be coming up soon, and you got to get something for him. He cannot walk for free. Don't know what you're going to get this window. I'll be really curious about it because this is a team that, and Sadich is kind of continuing this, in my opinion, from one game. It's just one game. But if we're going to make snap judgments in a bad way off one game, I'm allowed to make snap
understanding
judgments.
the sample size. Yes.
I am allowed to make a snap judgment in a good way off of one game. We are allowed to go in both directions because we are salty and petty people.
So petty.
The front office has done a pretty good job of getting of making those kind of middle of the road grabs in the middle of a season, whether it be Emerson Hyndman when he came in the first place, whether it be a Sadich after one game today, whether it be Justin Mira, my long-lost Iraqi-grown son, who is still hopefully living his best life in Salt Lake City. I miss you, Justin. I hope you're well. It's moves like that that they've done a really good job with bringing those guys in. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be surprised if we see another move similar to Sadich, where you bring in somebody who might kind of be off the radar, but who can contribute. But yes, if you're able to clear up a spot, I wouldn't be surprised to see them hit that crash cymbal on the drum set.
And I might be in the minority on this, and if I am, that's fine. I don't know if you necessarily need to. And I know everybody's like, wait a minute, Nick, do you see the line of that's on the injury report? Yeah, I do. But you've got to start playing kids at some point. You got to. That's why you have the kids. You got to start playing them, and you have to start giving them meaningful minutes, and you have to start putting them into the fire. Because if you put them in and they do well, that allows you flexibility to say, hey, we can move player X and Y out at a profit because we have these young players willing to come in and play, and they're capable of carrying the load. The Olympics are a temporary problem. They're going to go away. Just as Copa America was a temporary problem, it's going to go away, as awesome as Copa America was. This is not like, the Busio situation where Sporting Kansas City needs to fill that spot. We're actively trying to move Barco because we have a contract coming up, and you're either re-signing him for big money or you're moving him on. And so realistically, it makes sense to move him on to try to, to get something out of it. I don't know outside of, I think there needs to be shifting up top. If let's say Joseph comes back and he's fit as a fiddle and can go, I want more concrete options underneath him outside of Kubo Torres, but I think it's in-house already. And so I'm willing to bring up some people from the twos. I'm willing to, let some internal depth move up the ladder as opposed to trying to bring in people to start fitting other slots. And as much grief as I see on social media, the front office hasn't replaced anybody. Brooks Lennon's been really good. Sosa has converted people overnight to being fans of his. I heard a lot of people cheering for Franco today. So, I don't know. I don't think we need to go to the transfer well just yet. But if the right player at the right value is available, and maybe they fit like the U18 or the what is it, the U21.
The YAM, the young allocated money.
Yeah, the young allocated money. If they fit a YAM spot, can't wait till we get to the WHAM spot. That Careless Whisper needs to be played repeatedly inside the stadium. However, I will say that maybe if the right YAM move comes along, great, go for it. But no, I don't think we need to start stacking players from the outside yet. We have, this is the reason why we build a pipeline. And so far the pipeline's produced. So I haven't seen any kids coming up now from the pipeline who've been terrible. And look, if Bello moves on, has been rumored.
You've got Mikey Ambrose. You've got folks that you can slide over there, and you've got
Let
Caleb
me
Wiley in the
preach to
pipeline.
you the gospel of Caleb Wiley and his not give a damn attitude.
Hey,
Holy
Jarrett.
God.
Jarrett, tell these fine listeners where they can see that fine young gentleman.
Well, that game just ended. We're time traveling, and the Twos lost 2-0 in Louisville, which is disappointing, but also pretty par for the course for a lot of people in Louisville. Louisville's kind of playing pissed off.
We will talk about that on Twos Review elsewhere on the network.
We will. I'm sorry. I'm watching Pablo Sandoval hit against a field player pitching. This is beer league.
That's happened a lot this season.
Man, this rum is good. Apparently, I'm starting to see things now. Anyway, you can watch Caleb Wiley on ESPN Plus, or you can come out to Kennesaw and watch Atlanta United too. Caleb Wiley has no business being as swaggery as he is at the age of 16, playing at left back. You got guys like that, and you've got options. I'm gonna be really interested. Actually, I'm assuming, Nick, that basically. Sorry, this guy just threw a 43-mile-an-hour pitch. I'm broken right now. I'm gonna be really interested to see if Venezia just goes out there and starts signing everyone from the United States.
Well, yeah, that's part of their business plan, and that's something we could talk about tomorrow as well on the Over There. But they are, if you are a player who from the United States who has even an option for Euro dual citizenship, Venezia wants to talk to you. So just be ready. Parents, start checking your backgrounds. If you have kids coming up through youth soccer right now, do they have dual citizenship options? Yes, start checking. And this is the point of a pipeline. If you look at teams like Ajax, yes, they bring in people, but really they like to promote the youth players up. That's the goal. Barcelona, when La Masia was in full swing, and I mean, they had just a pipeline of talent, of absurd talent coming up before they wrecked that pipeline all to hell. Good teams have good pipelines. Gigi Donnarumma, who left Milan, came up through the Milan pipeline. I mean, they started him. God, what was he, like 16, 17 years old? They started him in Serie A. So, it's the best teams have good pipelines. Not every issue with a team can be solved in the transfer window. That's how you get yourself, one, into salary cap hell. Two, that's how you get yourself into some bad contracts. And three, that's how you have kids in your academy start to move other places for better opportunities. You don't want any of that to happen. You want your kids to feel like they have a legitimate shot at that starting lineup at the first team minutes. You have a manager now, whether you love him, hate him, whatever, who's willing to play the kids. As much as we've yelled at other managers, play the damn kids, we have a guy who says, hey, if you're good enough and you're willing to work hard, I'm going to play you. He's shown it. So let's ride it out. I mean, I don't want to see anybody else come in. Let the kids play, man. Promote these kids from the twos. And if you want to see these people that we're talking about and you're like, well, I don't recognize that name. Well, up in Kennesaw at the Fraction,
attaboy.
You can watch these guys ball out of control, and you watch them do their work and watch them make mistakes. And then you can also watch them clean those mistakes up and take their skills to a new level. And if you don't want to drive out to Kennesaw because I-75 is a little insane, you can turn on ESPN Plus and you can hear Jason and John play.
We've heard of them.
Yeah, we've heard of these guys. And you can watch them talk twos up at the Fraction.
A couple of other guys on the timeline before we go. Lieutenant Dave says it's time to take out the trash. He just can't with this anymore. And
Dave, here's the thing, man. Listen to what I said earlier on. I want it solved. I don't know but here's the problem. I don't know what it is. All we have are rumors. And I've had people who have told me I know 100% what's going on. And then 3 hours later, like during the game, they're like, I don't believe that anymore. So we don't know what it is. So I would like to know what we are going to throw out, because I see, look at Toronto with Chris Armas. That team hated that man. How do we know this? Because they absolutely stunk up the
7-1.
7-1. They let a team hang 7 on them and only put 1 in the back of the net. and until finally,
then went out a week later and dropped 3 goals on New England.
Right.
Like, if that wasn't, and I'm going to hijack you for like 5 seconds. I have a huge issue with that on a character level, personally.
No, I buy that. No, that's fine. It says a lot. It says a lot. If you have a concerted effort to say, look, we're going to go out tonight, pride is off the line, and we're just going to stink up the joint and get this bum out. Hey, that's you and your business. I'm not trying to interrupt you and your business, but you can't watch this game today and watch the effort that was put out and tell me that these guys want Heinze gone. I just don't. Either one, the player's pride is just way too high, and I mean, look at Moreno. The man was in tears at the end of the match. But this, I just don't see guy, and I see every player that came off the field, Heinz is like rubbing their head, giving them the pat on the back, and that doesn't look to me like a coach who has completely alienated the locker room. Maybe he has. Maybe they're all fantastic actors. I don't know, but I don't know what it is that we're supposed to throw out. So all I'm asking is, let's wait to find out what it is before we get, the military, the National Guard, and everyone else lined up to forcibly remove someone, a binding UN resolution to get it out. I do want it out, but I need to know what it is first. All
right. So what were the others here? Oh, okay.
Sorry,
no. It's all good. Cherokee Rose 811. And we all know that dialing 811 is important when you have certain things going on in your community. Cherokee Rose 811 says, why, when you are a goal down at home, do you only make 2 subs?
That's kind of been his MO whole year. He doesn't really change a lot. This isn't like Frank DeBoer out there using up all of his subs, which, to Frank's credit, he was fantastic at making in-game subs.
Right. I don't know. The sub thing, the sub thing was a little, I do wonder sometimes. I would love to sit down over a mate with Gabby and a translator and just say, can you walk me through the substitution strategies that you have just generally? Like, is it, I have a starting 11 and we're going to run them into the ground until they wave a hand and say, boss, I need to come off. Okay, cool. We'll sub you out. Or, or is it just you read the game and the way you read the game says, okay, I got to keep this unit in and provide minimal disruption. I don't know. I would love to have that. Maybe I just need to get a press pass and ask the question to him. I'm more than happy to do that. That's a great question. Honestly, I don't have the answer. I wish I knew. John, we need to work that out. I need to ask that question to him.
Okay.
Yeah, my answer of it might be his MO is my non-answer because, I don't know either.
Right.
That's just kind of the way he's been doing things.
Correct.
And last one on the board comes from Michael Head, and he says, when does this franchise get completely taken to the ground? I guess we have been. We're now an expansion team that no one cares about.
No, we're not. We're pretty far from an expansion team. If you go back to 2017 with Minnesota and the disaster that Minnesota was that first season,
the Scandinavian variant.
Yeah. The first season of Cincinnati, that was a disaster. There have been a lot of disastrous opening seasons for teams. We did not fall into that category. It's been noted that that's the case, that we are generally an exception to that rule. I think it was us, LAFC, and who else? Was it Chicago Fire, I think, in the ancient days?
Yeah, that's a Chicago Fire is a weird one just because it is back in the old days. Full credit because they did win.
Right.
Seattle's another good shout.
Right.
The running joke: Seattle invented the sport.
Right. So no, I don't. And here's why. And I mentioned a little while ago. You have Copa America and the Olympics and Gold Cup and Nations League, right? So you have all these tournaments going on, and guys, check me if I'm wrong on any of that. But you have all these tournaments going on. You're losing players to these tournaments for lengthy periods of time. So it's not like they just vaporized. Like I came down with the Infinity Gauntlet, snapped my fingers, and Miles Robinson and Guzan, and then Joseph Martinez and Barco. They all just kind of vanished and went, and Bello, like, that didn't happen. We have talent. Not everyone's here right now. We have a guy who a lot of people were giving grief to because they thought he made too much money, who this year they were like, okay, now we get why he's making that money. Then he blows out his ACL. I mean, that's not an expansion move. That's an injury move. And you have one of the greatest strikers this league has ever seen, who was recovering from ACL, also with torn ACL. Then, that's a struggle. Then goes to what? Copa America. There's some challenges down there. He comes back, whatever it is with, as far as the days of our lives. And then now we're waiting on him to return to training from what we've been told tomorrow. So again, that's not all mismanagement. That's not all some guy, like the Wizard of Oz back there, like, how can I tank this team quickly? It's not like, this isn't like trying to, the Sixers, right? Trying to trust the process. We're going to tank and get a whole crap ton of draft picks. Buddy, if we need that kind of talent, we just jettison these people and we just go to the transfer market. It's not like that. There's extenuating circumstances here. Now, does that solve, again, the problems that we have in the final third? No. That is probably time and the full complement of players together to generate chemistry. So then those tactical shifts can be implemented. But it's okay to be frustrated about that. But we are pretty damn far from an expansion team. Just keep in mind we have all these temporary problems. And it's not excuses. They're legitimate. The Copa America is legitimate. Nations League, legitimate. Gold Cup, legitimate. Olympics, legitimate. Those things are actually happening. So, when we get players all back together, it may be a different thing. And I've always said, tell me what's the team doing in June, and I'll tell you how I feel. I'm not thrilled because I want the problems in the final third solved. But I would be an idiot if I didn't say, oh, by the way, all these other things are taking place as well. So I think we have to factor that in. I say whatever you want about me, that's fine. But we're not an expansion team, in my opinion. If you want to blow the thing up to the studs, that's fine. My question then would be, who are you bringing in? So you can talk about all the players you're going to jettison. Okay, we're going to jettison Barco. Great. Okay, we're going to jettison Marino. Okay. We're going to jettison Heinze. Okay, great. So now we're trying to bring someone else in. Well, who are we going to bring in? Somebody. We can bring in an MLS coach. Okay, great. Who's available? Chris Armas. You want Chris Armas here? You want to? I am someone who learned all about the Red Bulls press. I'm personally a big fan of the Red Bulls press. I don't want Chris Armas here. And I am, guys, how often am I talking about Ralph Rangnick and the Red Bulls press in our DMs?
Mm-hmm.
Frequently. I don't want Chris Armas here. So it would be giving me largely what I want, which is the Red Bulls press, and no, I don't want Chris Armas here. So I call it the Phil Fulmer rule. If you're going to get rid of him, you better have a really good idea who you're going to replace him with, or else you end up like Tennessee. And that's for all you college football fans. And if you're a Tennessee fan, hey, sorry, facts are facts. So that's great. Strip it down to the studs, but I would like to see who you're bringing in. who's roster compliant and which manager you're going to bring in that you think will get us to the promised land. Because I think after you've gone through a manager who was supposed to get you to the promised land, almost did within a failed close down of a Golasso, almost got you to a second consecutive MLS Cup final. And then you fired him after everything went to Chernobyl Reactor 4 in 2020. And then we have a guy that I think a lot of people actually wanted in Gabriel Heinze. And then now you're saying we're an expansion team, not you specifically, gentlemen. Who sent the question in? Or the comment, rather?
It was Michael Head.
Okay, Michael Head. I'm not saying you specifically. I'm saying like the fan base in general. A lot of people seem like they were really happy with Gabriel Heinze coming in. Now a lot of these same people are saying they want him out. My question is, how many times can you rebuild without being a disaster? And I don't think we're at a disaster yet. I don't think we're the Exxon Valdez on the rocks. I don't think we're Chernobyl Reactor 4. I don't think we're Cincinnati year 1. I don't think we're Minnesota year 1. So I think you have a valid point. Valid to be angry. It's okay to be angry. You can be angry at people who don't necessarily agree with your level of anger. That's fine. I don't know if I'm quite ready to meet you at that level of anger, but I hear what you're saying, and I completely understand where you're coming from with it. So I will say that. But I'm not ready to meet you at that level of commentary yet.
And on that note, that will put an end to salty takeaways and bitter ends after the 1-0 loss for New England for Atlanta United against New England Revolution at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Joseph Martinez will be back in practice on Sunday, and obviously Gabriel Heinze will see where he is when it comes to fitness and sharpness, and we will go from there. So who would like to send us home this time?
Jarrett, we got to switch up the energy, man. It's you.
Yeah, all right. Cool, fine.
Bye.
Take care. Be nice to each other. And for God's sakes, be nice to your admins on social media, not just for Atlanta, not just for Atlanta teams, for every team. No. Don't be a dick.
Oh.
The people running social media accounts, they're not the ones making decisions that are giving you sads.
Oh my God. For real.
Don't be a dick. I promise you those people don't get paid probably nearly as much as you think they do.
No,
and they sure as hell don't get paid for you to yell at them and be rude like you're some angry Karen on Thanksgiving morning or the day after Thanksgiving at 4:30 in the morning because you couldn't find the 32-inch Vizio in the right size. This isn't targeted at anyone in particular. Honestly, it's not. Like everyone I've seen has done really well. I'm very happy with the people have been very kind. I'm just saying in general. Don't be a dick, especially not to the admins who run your social media pages. They don't make the decisions; they do what they're told.
No, they don't. They get handed a plan, execute.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I promise you that they didn't just tell them, "Hey, send out the season ticket info right after Gabby's going to talk about Joseph."
Yeah, they didn't.
They
didn't consult Gabby on that one.
Yeah, I promise you, they did not listen to that and go, seems like a good time to send out season ticket emails. Feeling frisky now.
Yep.
Jarrett's dialed up. Save some for Monday.
That's right.
Okay.
That's it for this go around. We'll see you next time.